Welcome to Apaga University. I'm Inga.
And I'm Julie. We are two
momtrepreneurs
who have built an in-home care business from the ground up, guided every step of the way by God's care and fueled by agape love.
16 years later and over 100 podcast episodes already under our belts, we invite you to continue on this journey with us as we share stories that resonate, insights that inspire, and practical guidance that empowers you to face any obstacle along this path.
Whether you're a professional caregiver, a family member, or are simply curious about what your steps will be when you need them, you have come to the right place.
Oh, hey, and while you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And after that, make sure you send this to a friend.
Yes, do it. All right, we'll quit fooling around and get to it.
Let's go. Class is in session.
Hello, Sunshines, and hello, Julie. How are you?
I'm well.
Good. How's the LED light on your mirror going?
Inga Lake.
We were having a discussion about blurry eyes.
Yes, it wasn't meant for podcasting, but I guess
these are the things that people like to hear.
We have nothing sacred around here. I'll tell you my situation. So I decided I needed a mirror that has lights so I can better see the flaws of self. And I bought this little cute one at TJ Maxx. It's like this big, $9.99. It's got 2 rows of LED lights. Mm-hmm. Well, I turned it on and number one, about blinded myself. And then number two, the amount of room that they've given you to look, I can't see a dang thing. And then I have to put on my glasses. And then it's all blurry and like I'm getting all these reflections. And
it's a problem.
It's a problem. I'm just like...
It's better to just go back to not knowing.
I'd like to take this back and complain, but when they say, why do you... Because it's causing me vertigo. I don't know. But, I got it because I was a little concerned about said flaws that are becoming more and more flash in my life. And that's not going to work for me. So I have to go figure out the next idea.
Yeah, just don't look, man. Just don't look.
I'm doing it for you guys' benefit, for God's sake.
True.
I just can't look totally haggard all my life.
Oh, my God. I can barely see you. You're kind of blurry to me. I have a cold and it like screws with my vision. So like my eyes get all kind of watery and yeah, so I'm struggle bussing.
Do we need to take away your keys?
Probably not a bad idea.
Should you be driving?
Yikes. No, I think I'm okay.
Okay.
It's just this fine print, which probably has
So my face looks like fine print?
Your face looks fine. Print-worthy.
Yeah.
No, you look great. It's just that I can't see anything else. So.
Good Lord.
No, I can
we are a hot mess together, aren't we?
Yes, we very much are.
Between the two of us, we don't have one straight
part, something like that.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's get into the podcast today.
That's
because
a good idea.
like it's kind of it's one of those things that is kind of more up my alley to talk about. But it's also one of those things that is, I think it's kind of triggering for some people, just depending on where they are kind of in the system. But
yes.
So we'll start with a verse, we'll do our good news stories, and then we'll go into our discussion about Social Security.
Social Security.
Yeah. Okay, so the verse today is Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. And it says, help each other with your troubles. When you do this, you are obeying the law of Christ. And I think that we just do that by nature with what we do in this business, but also just in general. Like I find great joy in helping other people. It's sort of self-serving for me because it just feels good to know you've done something for someone else.
Right. And also with that verse, there are times that it's a little hard not to be resentful as a person in society who's, paying out the teeth on taxes and this and that. And then there's more levies for more tax, more votes for levies and all money out all the time. So when we talk about Social Security, I think it's going to kind of pull it together. Right. But I was thinking about that verse going, it's kind of, it's a huge blessing to be able to be a productive citizen that is able to pay taxes and such.
Right.
But the resentment is a real thing.
For sure.
And so,
yeah. And that is sort of like the double-edged, what is it? Double-edged sword or
definitely
whatever, where you're like happy again to be able to be in the position that you're able to pay these taxes, but also at the same time, I don't think we always as taxpayers necessarily agree with how taxes are managed and spent.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's definitely concerns and talk about the Social Security system overall and its sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, we just do what we do. And as employees, we pay into it. As employers, we pay in on behalf of our staff. And so we'll get into that stuff a little bit more.
We'll get into the gory details shortly.
It's kind of like when I think about, even like franchisees that work with us and when they're paying that franchise fee or whatever, I kind of think about it like, well, if you're paying a big amount, that means that you're making a big amount, right? So there should be, I guess, some gratitude in that, maybe.
True. No, good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
What did you bring for a story?
Oh, my Lord, my Lord. So Granddad rehearsed his funeral 10 years ago.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Now his final wishes come true after his passing.
Oh.
So does that sound like a good news story? Not really. But anyway, this is a guy from Britain that actually pre-planned his funeral and rehearsed it on TV in 2013.
Oh, wow.
And then he actually passed this last couple of months. And so everything went as planned because he already knew what he wanted. He had done that so that his family would not have to worry about it at the time. But anyway, what happened, and this is the funny part of it, is that he had a place, and it's an actual place in the UK somewhere. There is actually a place called Crazy Coffins, and they will custom make you whatever your urn or your whatever you want. And his was actually an airplane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so so his coffin looks like an airplane. They literally took his coffin with him in it down Main Street.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like his last send off.
Oh.
Because he was crazy about airplanes. But I researched crazy coffins, and it's totally a thing, but they have everything from a different style of vehicle to something that looks like a guitar case. It's just the funniest thing.
Wow.
Whatever your passion is, there's a submarine, there's a piano, there's a cell phone, but they make them big enough for the body.
Wow.
One of them looks like an Egyptian box.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what. Anyway, where they've got all the hieroglyphics and all of that on there. One looks like a Viking ship. They have pages. Oh, one of them that's really cool is a ballerina slipper.
Oh.
And they made the coffin look like that. So anyway, it's very funny. They have the best sense of humor. And basically they're just like, if somebody wants to be a little quirky and they skateboards, it's just the funniest thing.
Huh. So, that's crazy.
Anyway, so he was able to have the last laugh when it came to his coffin that looked like an airplane.
Man, I'm good for him because I have not come to terms with what I even want. Forever, I was like, definitely not cremation because it just seems terrible. But then the older I get, the more claustrophobic I get. I'm like, I don't think I can be buried either.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what they're going to do with me, but I just tell everybody, you better make sure I'm good and dead before you do anything. So
let me die and then give me 3 more days.
Yes. Make darn sure. Anyway, and then I guess do whatever you want.
Well, this guy was way ahead of you because 10 years before he even died, he had a
good for him. That's great. And good for his family as well to know exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, he did his pre-planned funeral on TV.
That's crazy.
Isn't that funny?
He sounds like somebody we would have really liked to meet.
Yeah, what a guy. Cool. What a guy.
Well, mine today comes from my book, My Trusty Daily Wisdom by Julie Fournier. And basically, I've always heard this, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah.
I've always heard that.
Love that so much.
We've lived by that philosophy, whether it's in this business, whether it's raising sheep, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And we've always found that to be very, very true. But I just liked this sort of explanation. It says, luck is for those who like to believe success only happens by accident. People who work hard know success has nothing to do with luck and everything to do with the choices that you make. The harder you work, the more likely you are to get a big break, but it's not really because of your luck, it's because of your work. What looks like luck is often just someone who refused to give up or make excuses. If you work hard, opportunities will present themselves. When you meet the opportunity fully prepared, success follows. The harder you work, the more opportunities you get and the luckier you get. It just, I feel like that's so true.
Isn't that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think about it, we're heading into, to the fair, county fair, right? So that's the big lamb show for a lot of kids. Well, not just lambs, but anyway, the big show for a lot of kids. Our experience, of course, is with lambs. And basically the thing, you know, oftentimes we'll get asked, you know, what are you doing different? Or why do the kids that show your sheep, how come they always win or this or that or whatever? And 100% of the time it comes down to they put in the work. Like if you want to compete at this level, you're going to have to outwork everybody else.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't, I don't know if they don't understand that or they don't want to apply it in their lives or they just think we're kind of making it up. But it's true. It's true in every area of life.
Yeah.
Harder you work, the luckier you get.
Oh, that effort is a big deal.
For sure.
I have a gal that I text every day, just kind of trying to send her some uplifting messages and such. And I always wonder if I'm giving her too much because she's pretty settled in doing nothing. And she's pretty happy where she's at, even though she's not happy, but she's not willing to put any effort at all into trying to do anything different. And so I always feel really bad because she'll say, oh, what did you do with your day? And I said, oh my gosh, we went and we got hay and we did this and I went to church and I did this. And she's like, oh my gosh, if only I could be like you. Well, come on, you know, just you get up and do it.
It does take some self-motivation to have to.
Yeah. And I always feel like I'm almost boasting to her and I'm not. This is really what I did during the day. This is just normal day of getting up and getting her done.
Yeah.
And so I love what you said there because people often resent those that are successful because they don't know.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's not that we or kids that show animals or don't take their butt kickings, right? Because we get butt kickings all day long, every day that people don't maybe necessarily see. But I think it's just trying to take the positive from it and always look on the bright side of things. And, you know, we just thankfully we're blessed with the ability to have that optimistic mindset. And, you know, I was thinking about it the other day. Somebody asked me, how's your day? Or how are you doing? I was like, it's awesome. And then I was like, I thought it was so funny that I responded that way because I was the sickest I've been with this cold.
Right.
Feeling terrible, like gonna lose my cookies at any moment. And I'm like, it's such a great day. I'm like, it's just how you look at it.
Oh my gosh. You know what's funny about that is when you respond to somebody, oh my gosh, it's great. They're taken back.
Oh, so many times.
Yeah. They're just like, what?
What do you mean?
What do you mean you're having a good day?
Yes.
Yeah. It's really, if you want to ever really screw up somebody's mindset for a couple minutes, is respond positively because they're probably used to just people going, oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Things are fine.
That one triggers me. It's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it does. Anyway, so Social Security 101.
Now we got to talk shop.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically this situation is top of mind. My husband had to look into getting on Social Security. We've got a couple of our caregivers that are on Social Security, but their story versus like my husband's story are completely different. And I'm just like trying to wrap my mind around the Social Security world.
Yes.
And it's like going down a stinking rabbit hole. But one of the gals that we work with, she can only work 24 hours a week. But on other weeks, she can work 4 more hours because she's worked out exactly how much she can make not to be penalized.
Right.
Whereas my husband, with his age, he's able to work whatever he wants. And so I know it's an age thing, but I was like, I need to understand this more. And then you hear of the people who only have $900 of Social Security to live on a month.
Right.
Or whatever the case is. And so I'm just like, why?
Yep.
is there so many changes or differences. And so I actually cut this into 2 different episodes because it's so much information.
Yes.
So the very basic we're going to talk about is it's Social Security 101.
Yes. And the important thing to know about Social Security versus the other programs that we'll be talking about in the next episode, they are very different. And some of them are tied to, like Social Security is going to be tied to the individual as an employee and what was contributed,
right,
throughout their working years.
Right.
Then next episode, we're going to get into talking about SSI and then SSDI. And so those are also some of these supplemental income things, but they have different qualifiers, I guess.
Yes.
So anyway, it's hard to differentiate them. And so I'm really glad that we're doing this episode because they are very, very different. And oftentimes people will talk about Social Security, but they're actually, like our employees, I think, aren't necessarily on Social Security. They're on one of the other programs that we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
But you kind of lump it all together in your mind.
They all start with Social Security. So that's
right.
where it's not.
Right. So it's confusing. It's extremely confusing. So I love that we're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought we got to stop.
Yes.
And we got to, I need to learn this. So let's just all learn it together.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically just the basics of Social Security. And it talks about, for many Americans, Social Security benefits are an extremely important source of retirement income. It's one of the few sources of income that is predictable and guaranteed to last for as long as you live. While many people may not rely solely on Social Security to fund their retirement, the benefits may make up a large portion of their income. It is, Social Security was designed to help American workers in retirement, and Social Security benefits replace 40% of an average worker's income after retiring. So, and again, I think I said this in the beginning, it is based on what the individual as an employee contributed into the fund during their working years. Things or values to remember about Social Security: monthly payments continue for life. The benefit payments cannot be reduced due to economic downturns. Benefits are usually increased annually for inflation, and there are spousal and survivorship benefits. But remember that in order to qualify for Social Security, you must earn enough credits by working for at least 10 years. So your retirement benefits are influenced by how much you paid into the system during those working years. So, in order to qualify to receive the retirement benefits, the criteria that you have to have met is earned 40 total Social Security credits. And it does say that 1 credit is earned for every $1,640 in earnings, with a maximum of 4 credits per year. So you can earn up to 4 credits a year. You have to earn, you have to have those 40 credits, right? So 10, if you earn 4 a year for 10 years, then you're going to meet that 40 total Social Security credits. And then you have to reach your full retirement age. There is a chart, and we'll have this document on our show notes. Basically, it talks about like your year of birth and what your full retirement age is, and how the benefits apply, I guess, because you can take benefits earlier in life. I think as early as 62, yes. So you can take those benefits starting as early as 62, but if you start them prior to your full retirement age, which I believe is 67, it's going to be a reduced amount.
Yes.
So there's a lot of numbers to play with on this. And I feel like talking to someone that has knowledge of it really is probably crucial to making good decisions as you get up into that retirement age, and deciding.
And it's a big deal. I'll give you an example of misinformation that really screwed up somebody that I knew. She had just recently remarried at a later age. And she was told by her new guy that she needed to get on Social Security right now. But she wasn't the full retirement age. Yeah. So anyway, she goes, well, I'm still working and I love working, even though it was part-time.
Right.
And so I don't know all of the details, but he convinced her to get on Social Security. Well, then all of a sudden what happened is she then found out she was limited in how much she could make because of the amount she was getting from Social Security. And so it really put her upside down. And then on top of it, they then divorced. but decisions
Oh.
that had been made that she was so mad at herself for having just that, oh, okay,
Right.
yeah, good idea.
Right.
And so anyway, very unfortunate. So I think you've got to really talk to the people that know
some type of a
this.
professional person that can give you good advice and guidance on it. Yeah, because basically the age that you retire is going to affect your Social Security benefits. So
Right.
early retirement is an option as early as the age of 62, but in the case that you retire at 62, your Social Security benefits are reduced by as much as 30% compared to what they would be if you retire at full retirement age. So the other thing to keep in mind is if you retire after your full retirement age, the benefit increases by 3 to 8% each year that you delay. So basically, it does say that no credit is given after 65, but that's a huge thing. I mean, if you keep working for a couple more years, you're not going to lose 30%, and you're actually going to gain anywhere from 3 to 8% per year, if I'm reading this correctly, for up to 3 years.
Yeah.
So again, check my work, talk to a professional, because I am not a professional on this, but according to what this article is saying, that is the case.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You can find more information by going to the Social Security Administration website. And again, it's super, super important, just based on the example that you gave, that people take the time and don't rush into it.
Yeah.
Because you might think that you're doing something that's going to benefit you now that ultimately hurts you far worse.
Yeah.
And basically, the older you get, the more critical it's going to be that you have access to more funds.
Right. My husband waited till he was full retirement age, and I really feel that was the wisest thing. Of course, he was able to also keep working full time until he took that Social Security, and he still continues to work full time. I was more worried about taxes and the implication. That word.
Yes.
That it was going to cause problems with taxes and how much to repay on all of that.
Yeah.
So there's another issue. Once again, that's just another layer of the stuff you need to think about.
Right. Because am I correct in saying that they don't withhold taxes on your Social Security?
Some states do and some states don't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there is a concern.
Yeah.
I think Montana does take taxes out.
Well, that's good because, because I think that probably the intent is that once someone reaches that Social Security, that age, and they're receiving that full benefit, that maybe they're not working another or don't have other income sources. And so at that point in time, based on what they're getting, probably, the tax thing might not be an issue, but it is an issue for people that have income from other places and have a, higher threshold on what their gross wages are for the year. So.
Well, and every day we get phone calls of people that need home care. And so we've got different payer sources, but often they'll say, well, she makes $1,400 a month on Social Security. And that's what she makes.
Right. And that's what she lives on. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then at that point, what we're trying to do is figure out how can we help her find out how she can afford home care, because that's where you come into potentially Medicaid, veterans,
right.
Those kinds of things.
Sure.
But a lot of people don't live on a lot of money and they're completely dependent on what they get for Social Security.
Yep. Well, and with Social Security, there are kind of different rules and guidelines depending on whether you are single or married. So the benefit for a single individual is pretty simple. The benefits just are solely based on your personal work record. But for married couples, there are a few options and some flexibilities within the benefit. So spousal benefits would allow a husband or wife to receive up to 50% of a spouse's Social Security benefit. For married couples, you must meet the following criteria. The person claiming spousal benefits must be 62 or older. The spouse must be eligible to receive Social Security retirement benefits, and the spouse must have already filed to receive those benefits. So there are different ways to maximize your benefits in retirement. It may be a good idea to sit down with a financial professional to evaluate the situation and find the best path for you. I think I have heard that with married couples, and it's I don't think it'll so much be the case in the times that we're living in, but in, times before us where just pretty traditionally, the husband was more of the breadwinner in the situation.
Right.
It made more sense for the wife to draw 50% of the husband's Social Security benefit because it might equate to more
Right.
than what she could draw, or he, I guess, depending,
Gotcha.
on their own benefits. So that is why I think that is an option. But my guess is that as the world turns and goes forward, that'll be less of a thing. But that's just my prediction.
So so basically, when I turned 62, which is sooner than later, because I'm getting to be older,
Yeah.
Mike would have his, and then could I get my full amount, or am I stuck at the 50% because we're married in a household?
If I'm reading it correctly, you would have to declare that ahead of time.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's just going to depend on
where we are,
which benefit is a better benefit. So,
right. Yeah. So once again,
yeah.
I
don't
will
talk
be
to a professional.
I will be retaining some kind of professional who can make heads and tails out of this mess. So
yes.
Okay. Something that you cannot ignore is the fact that death is certain, and we don't know when that day will come. When you or your spouse dies, your total Social Security income is reduced. The surviving spouse is then facing two major losses: the emotional support of their partner and the financial loss of their spouse's Social Security benefits. The surviving spouse has the option to choose between their personal Social Security benefits or to receive the deceased spouse's benefits that they were receiving at the time of death. So that's going to be...
it's going to come down to which one is a better benefit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bigger pot.
Yep.
Okay.
So some questions, again, and this is going to be different for Social Security versus the programs that we'll be talking about in the next episode.
Right.
But can I collect Social Security while I am working? So yes, you don't have to turn in your notice when you start collecting those Social Security or retirement benefits.
Right.
Continuing to draw income from work might reduce the amount of your benefit if you claim Social Security before you reach the full retirement age, and the age when you qualify to collect 100% of the maximum benefit allowed. So, I mean, there's so many different ways that this can either help you or hurt you.
Yeah.
The biggest takeaway that I'm getting is if you can work until that full retirement age, that's seems to be your best bet.
Well, and I think that a lot of people just get it in their heads. 62 is the magic number, but not necessarily is it.
Right.
Just like the person that works with us, that she's so concerned about not going over X because it will take away from her. I think sometimes you have to do the math and say, are you going to be better off for 4 more years working your 40 versus 24?
Coming from a math person, always do the math.
Yeah.
Always do the math.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Let me see. Full retirement age is 66 years and 6 months for people born in 1957, and will rise 2 months for each subsequent birth year until it settles at 67 for those born in 1960 or later. Prior to the full retirement age, Social Security doesn't consider you fully retired if you make more than a certain amount from work, and it will deduct a portion of your benefits if your earnings exceed that limit. The earning caps are adjusted annually for national wage trends, and they differ depending on how close you are to a full retirement age.
So if you're receiving benefits and working in 2024, but you have not yet, or you are not yet due to hit that full retirement age until a later year, the earnings limit is going to be $22,320. Thing is, you're going to lose $1 in benefits for every $2 that you earn over the cap. So let's say you have a part-time job that pays you $30,000 a year, which puts you $7,680 over the limit. Social Security is going to deduct half of that, or $3,840 in benefits. So, I mean, you really have to sit down and pencil this stuff out and figure out, like, if you're able to work that, are you better off to just work that and wait and let that Social Security benefit increase for you? Or are you better off to, take a partial retirement from Social Security and keep working and mess with all of this stuff? And yeah, it's very numbery, and I don't want to get
freak
into
anybody
sound
out.
like I'm like trying to give any advice on it.
Mhm.
You do need to talk to a financial professional about it, but it's just, there's just a lot to be considered. And I always kind of look at Social Security a lot like workman's comp in a way,
Yeah.
right? We pay into that because we want it to be there when we need it to be there.
Right.
And when it does reach that point, you want it to be able to be used at the maximum capacity for what is needed for the
Right.
situation, right? So if you don't need to use that policy until later, then don't use it until later, because when you get later, then maybe it will help serve you better.
And you need it more.
I realize that, I mean, they're two completely different things. And workman's comp is if you have an injury, right?
Right.
So please don't go file a workman's comp if you don't actually have an injury, which, if anyone can believe, actually happens.
Oh, what?
But same with Social Security, man. If you can hang out and just keep working and not utilize that benefit until you actually need it, I feel like it is my personal opinion that you are better served to do that.
Right.
Personal opinion, do what you need to do, whatever's best for you. But, you know, it's there for a reason. You're paying into it for a reason. So at the end of the day, you want to be able to utilize it at the maximum
Max.
when the time comes.
Well, and it will benefit you way more. But of course, there's so many fingers in this pot, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's how is your health? How is your,
Yes,
all of those things. So all of it is so unique to each of us.
Yes. And again, right back to the workman's comp thing. Obviously, it's there for you when you need it. So if that is you at age 62, then by all means, that.
And thankfully it is there.
Yes.
Yes. So that's one of the beautiful things.
Yes. And something to know that I wanted to just add quickly to this is, for those of you that don't know, the amount of money that gets contributed into, contributed, forced, however you want to look at it, that gets put into the Social Security pot. So an employee that is working for an employer such as Apaga Home Care, where you are truly an employee,
right?
The employee is going to pay 6.2% of their gross amount. The employer is going to contribute an additional 6.2%. So every paycheck, every employee that works for Apaga, 12.4% of their total earnings is being paid into that Social Security pot.
Wow.
They pay half of it, we pay half of it.
Right.
Now, an individual that is like self-employed, they're going to just pay the full 12.4% straight into the pot based on their wage.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a pretty big number, and you hope that it can be sustainable and it goes into the trust or whatever and gets managed.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we're just paying in, hoping that by the time we get to 67, there's still going to be some money there.
There is concerns of the sustainability.
There's
of it.
all kinds of discussions about the sustainability, and we're just hoping for the best, man.
Oh my word. Yes. As I was researching this, I actually came up with just a quick thing that talked about 7 things every woman should know about the Social Security. And so basically it'll kind of be a little redundant on a few things that we've already talked about, but you can get partial benefits at 62 years old. If you're a woman, there are a couple things you should know about retirement and Social Security. Basically, according to the latest Center of Disease Control report, women tend to live longer than men. So more exactly, the average American man lives to be about 76. And this means that the women actually live till about 81. So this means that women spend more time in retirement. So the questions you're asking is, can I retire early? And if so, how does this affect me? Can widows receive their husband's Social Security benefit? That's all what we're going to talk about just now. Yeah. Women face greater financial challenges in retirement than men. And even if women face longer lives, they receive smaller pensions than men, according to the Social Security Administration. How so? Don't we all work and pay taxes so we can earn more Social Security credits and receive a higher benefit during retirement? That's basically the question. And it says, unfortunately, women are paid less than men. According to a 2021 survey, the average total salary for women was $27,000 compared to $43,700 for men.
Yeah, that's a
So,
pretty big gap.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. And because it's all based on how much you pay in, if,
Mhm.
women in general get paid less, they're going to pay in less.
So 12% of women that are over 65 years old actually live in poverty. So that's not
Wow.
great. So this might give you a wake up call if you're a woman. And so financial advisors always say invest wisely,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people don't even think about that when they're getting closer to retirement. It's like, oh, I should have done this.
Right.
And because a lot of the times when you're raising kids or you're doing whatever, you're like not saving like you should, or
Right.
you simply don't have it.
Yeah,
And they do say, even if you can put $20 a month away,
it's a huge thing.
it adds up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on my kids on that.
Yeah. No, it's tough. And like, especially the times that we're living in right now, it's
Yeah.
it's just hard. It's hard to have 20 extra dollars. But at the same time, we do, I think as a society, tend to treat ourselves a little more than we did 10 or 20 years ago.
I
So
think we are very entitled
there's
nowadays.
sort of a give and take to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, $1 a day.
Yeah.
We waste $1 a day.
Oh, easy.
More than that, I'm
Easy,
sure.
easy. Marriage doesn't limit your Social Security benefits. If you're married and both you and your husband have worked, you can each request Social Security benefits separately and independently. But if you two must have worked before, you must have separate work records. Once again, you have to talk to a financial consultant to ensure you're on the right retirement plan.
Yes. And I think we've been saying this. So generally, if you are eligible for two benefits, you're generally going to get paid the higher rate. So, if your husband's benefit is going to be more than your benefit, generally you would get paid that higher rate.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't receive both your Social Security benefit and your spousal Social Security benefit. You do get to choose the one with the highest amount.
Right. Right.
Again, we talked a little bit about working during retirement can diminish your Social Security contributions. So keep that in mind when you're making those decisions.
Yeah.
And widows may be due their husband's Social Security benefits. So at 60 years old, a widow is eligible to receive 70% of what her husband received before his death. Once a widow reaches the full retirement age, this number rises to actually 100%.
Oh.
So, and you can also receive a $255 lump sum payment if you were living with your spouse when they died. Interesting. If you're divorced, it says that you may still be able to receive your ex's benefits. So, does a divorced person lose all the financial benefits that come with a marriage? That's not always the case, at least when it comes to Social Security. If you were married for at least 10 years, you may be eligible for that Social Security based on your ex's work record. This applies if you're unmarried or not eligible for a higher benefit on your own earnings when you become entitled to Social Security. So again, more numbers to take into consideration. But I love this, and this sums up everything that I was trying to babble on about. The question of when you can receive your benefits is separate from a very much more important question that says, when should you claim the benefit? Right. So just because you can doesn't mean that you should claim them at that moment.
So your job situation, your family circumstance, your financial and your physical health, all of those have to be big considerations.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Yay.
That was helpful.
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah. I wanted it to be very basic just because it's, like I said, the more I researched it, I was like, oh, now I'm going down this tunnel and I'm squirreling everywhere. It was like,
next episode, I think, is where it gets a little more dicey on the different types of Social Security programs.
Yeah. So you made me laugh because you were actually saying just before we started, what was the saying?
Lord love a duck.
Yes. So I looked it up and I don't know where it went. So anyway, Lord love a duck, and it's actually a thing.
Well, I was consulting because I said it and I asked Alyssa if she'd ever heard it. She's very young. Keep this in mind.
So
and she
young.
has not heard Lord love a duck before, but I just remember my mom saying it all the time.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, I asked you. And of course, the oldies but goodies. Give me a high five there.
Kind of.
We know these things. So Lord love a duck. What does it mean?
Oh, it's an exclamation used when nothing else will fit.
Nice. So when you can't swear, you say, Lord, love a duck.
Oh, often fitting when one is stunned or dismayed.
Mm.
But there's more. There's more. Actually, in like Japan, it was like one of their very favorite dishes.
Oh,
So there's
so it
many-
actually was more about the food,
It
the
was about
actual
the food. Yeah, instead
consumption
of having
of duck.
absolutely nothing that is appropriate to say at the time, you just
So
say,
you just
love
say,
a
Lord,
duck.
love a duck.
Yeah, so I think we could say that quite often around here.
I should probably start filtering that in
Yes,
instead of the expletives
G-rated
that occasionally
version.
escape my princess little mouth.
Oh my, oh my.
All right, peace out, Girl Scouts.
Have a good day.
The caregiven name is a registered trademark of the Veritrust Health Incorporated Company. IPAGA is not connected to, affiliated with, or endorsed by Veritrust or any of its affiliates.